Hey, good evening, and welcome to Ask the Plasterer with me, Eric the Plasterer. Right, regular guys, welcome guys, nice to see you along again tonight. And for anyone else that's not been here before, I'm Eric the Plasterer. I'm a plasterer from South London, been plastering for 30 years, no, 35 years, 36 years. And I don't know, thinking about how long it's been. You got any questions you want to ask, you can ask tonight at Ask the Plasterer. You can either ring in, a phone number will come up in a short while, or you can text up on your screen. At least I hope you can. Okay, right, let's move on. Right. Yeah, tonight's episode is a little bit sponsored by Easy Mix. Well, I told them I'll stick an advert up on the live stream, so there it is. So I think that counts as a paid promotion, but I'm not 100% sure. Right, I better check this is working. Can any of you guys send me a message? I don't know if I just got to double check my message is working okay. And I'll send myself on. Hello. Oh yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah. So, any questions you might have, just fire away. As I said, you can ring on this number 07516214983. Hiya, Will. Nice to see you, mate. Or you can, yeah, just write something up in the live chat section, and I'll answer it. I've just got in from work by the skin of my teeth to do tonight's Ask the Plasterer. Hopefully, if you can, you're not sitting indoors watching this when it's lovely and sunny outside in the garden, your own garden, pub garden. I've noticed a lot of you guys that the regular plasterers that tune in, you seem to work on weekends and 7 days a week, and you've got to be careful of burnout, guys, because it can really wear you down if you don't have a bit of a break, especially the bank holiday that's just gone. Well, make sure you get a break at the next bank holiday at the end of the month, so you don't tie yourself out. And yeah, anyone else that's just watching for fun, if there's any kind of questions people need to know, whether it's to do with how much does the plasterer cost or should cost, different parts of the country it varies, how long should a certain job take, anything, just absolutely fire away, it's all yours. But yeah, so hang on, what have we got here? Oh yeah, I've treated myself to a GoPro, which is the new camera. It's a sports camera, and you can put it into lots of little places. You can't put your normal camera, or I can't put my normal camera, and it's waterproof as well, so I can get it wet. I don't know how it's going to go with the old plaster, but I just have to try and not splash it too much with that stuff. But I'm going to be using that for some videos I'm doing currently, which, yeah, should be good. I mean, for now I'm just using that, but I'm going to use a mix of a couple of different cameras when my videos go up, so you can get like from my viewpoint as well and see something I'm doing a bit more close up. I've started a job today which is coming out as a video, basically day in the life of a plasterer, and that's going to be the next one that's coming up. What's the best way to patch in lath and plaster? Lath and plaster is that, Will? Oh. If it's normal lath and plaster, then your best bet generally is to patch it up with plasterboard, or go over the whole wall, depending on how big or small it is, with plasterboard. Because if you try and put some of the new gypsum plaster over old laths, even if you treat them well with some PVA first. They can expand and contract, and the old lime plaster used to be quite giving for that, but the new plasters set like rock. They haven't really got any give in them, so if you get any swelling up in the laths from moisture, you can really get some bad cracking if you just put some bonding and stuff onto old laths. If that's what you meant, Will, by that one, then yeah, cool. I'm thinking, are the irregular guys in tonight? I've got a lot of new viewers. Don't want to ask a question. Oh dear. I'm not surprised if it's quiet. I mean, the sun's staying out longer as the summer kicks in more. I did put a poll up on the on the channel asking if I should start it at 8 instead of 7, but then it kind of cuts more into your evening, guys, doesn't it? So we've stuck with 7 o'clock for now, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes tonight, and we'll play it by ear. Right, I hope that info helped you then, Will. But yeah, if it's a small hole, I'd patch it up with some plasterboard, and then maybe put some bonding over the top of the plasterboard to bring it flush, and then do your skim over the top. And when it comes to doing small patches of bonding, I've started using the Easy Mix. Hang on, let's go on to there. Yeah, the half-time, the accelerator. Because in the past I've had a water skim, which had a little bit of patch, of a bit of a bonding patch in it that I've needed to sort out. Hi, Jamie, nice to see you, mate. And whacking a bit of the old half-time plaster accelerator in there, it goes off, bonding goes off rock hard in about 20 minutes. You've got to be careful not to knock up too much. But you can literally fill a patch on the wall, sort your other tools out, get your bucket ready. By the time you knock up your skim, the wall's ready to go. So that's good. I used it about a week ago, which is pretty handy. Because I've filled in patches like that before with bonding, and I've been waiting like an hour. And normally when I'm in a hurry, the slower the bonding seems to go off, no matter what time of year it is. So, yeah. Okay, Will, no worries, mate. No worries. Oh, dear. I hope you've got some kind of drink or a beer with you. I'm on the old cherry Coca-Cola because I can't work and drink beer. Or I could, but then I'd just, start to get a bit silly beer by the end. I keep wanting to stop for a wee. James Coates, hi James. Do you feel using a sprayer on the last few trowels gives a better finish than using a brush out from your half clean water? Yeah, I mean, back in the day, didn't use a sprayer at all. Just used to have a massive water brush to chuck the old water on. I use quite a big pump sprayer now. I used to use the little one you could just like pump and hold in your hand. I use the big one now. I can like whack over my shoulder. You see it on the video there on the left. Yeah, sometimes if I want to give it a good coat of water, I will leave the sprayer and I will dip my brush in the water still and chuck that up there from the sometimes from the clean water, sometimes from the slightly dirty water, which might make it pull a bit quicker and that last little bit when you're troweling up. But I've tended to favour the sprayer more because back in the day when you use a great big water brush, especially if you're doing a ceiling, you'd be chucking it up there and the floor would get soaked. But for me, because I use stilts on plastic, because the rubber feet I found it can get caught up in if you just got dust sheets on the floor. So I put dust sheets. I put plastic down there, but you got to be careful. If it does get very wet, then even on the stilts with rubber feet, it can still be a bit of an ice ring. So it's a bit swings and roundabouts. Just got to be careful. Kettle's on, Jamie. Nice one, mate. Yeah, have a cup of tea. Have a brew. I say I just made it in by the skin of my teeth from work to do this because I'm working in Ashted, which it's not a million miles from me, but it's not round the corner. And I do love me local jobs that are around the corner. Mind you, I'm really late going to those ones as opposed to coming home. Getting stuck because the traffic's got a lot worse lately since the old schools have gone well, schools have been back anyway, ain't they, since the half term. And as the COVID restrictions are coming off, mate, and people are going back to work, I mean, I love that side of it. I can't wait till, I just hug people. Of course, I ask my customers before I hug them if it's all right, especially if it's my first time I've ever worked for them and they've never met me before. Dear. But yeah, you've got to be friendly. You've got to be friendly when you're a plasterer. But but don't push your luck. Dear. One of the guys was asking me about, amongst other things, whether or not it's a good idea to use your own business cards for plugging yourself as a plasterer. I did a while back. I designed something I thought looked fantastic. But it probably did have too much information on it, because you kind of think, oh yeah, I want a little logo. Yeah, put a little logo on the side. And I'll put the old plasterer.org.uk, because that's that's quite easy to remember. That's a good one. Yeah, stick that across the middle. And you kind of like, oh yeah, no job too big, too small. Then you thought, I better put my phone number. And you put your phone number on it. And cut a long story short, you can end up putting so much stuff on the card. When people look at it, they just see this massive writing. They just about see your web address or whatever it is you want to plug the most going across the middle. So just keep really important stuff on it. And what I'd also used to do, if you've got a computer and a decent printer, you can buy these business cards that snap off really nice and clean, and print your own ones off. It's a little bit more of a kerfuffle, but you just need a few now and again. You just stick a sheet of 10 of these things in, 20 of them, print them off, and then just keep them handy on you. I used to use them a lot in the past. People do often ask me, have you got a card I can have, or that I can give to someone else? And I'll say, well, yeah, I keep meaning to run off a new lot, but I haven't printed off a business card for I don't know how long. But it would be a good idea to do it again, for sure. Absolutely. Plus, you can just leave one here or there and stick some through a few doors if you're that way inclined. Especially if you're starting out and you're new to the game. I mean, if you've built up a kind of a reputation and you've had customers for years, and word of mouth and whatever, you do tend to keep a regular flow of work going when you've been doing it as long as I have, anyway. Hope you find that interesting. Ooh. Anything else? What do you want to know, people? I'm Eric the Plasterer. I'm here at your beck and call to try and answer any questions that I can from my years of experience. There are a lot of new stuff I haven't used. James, just bought myself a new 18 carbon steel. I was told they break in quicker and get a lot sharper than the stainless. My first Marshall towel, mate, was carbon, and because if you leave them for a little while, they do go rusty quite easily. And in cleaning off the rust with a bit of sandpaper, they do sharpen up a lot quicker. They wear in a lot quicker, and when you've been using one for a while, they do get like razor blades. Which is lovely. You get a beautiful finish with them. When you're saying that, now you buy a lot of the flexi trowels, which are great for that final like troweling up. But yeah, carbon steel trowel, mate, lovely. I bought a stainless steel one. Well, I've got stainless steel ones now, and they do take it. Or it's pre-worn, because I bought one before that wasn't pre-worn quite a few years back, and it took forever to wear down. I was so used to a carbon one wearing in, I didn't really think about it, and I thought, oh yeah, stainless steel. I had this funny idea that it wouldn't get any kind of staining on it. Okay, yeah, they don't go rusty, but you still get that film of plaster building up on them, don't you? And and some of these stainless steel ones you buy, some of the newer ones, and the old Marshalltowns, where it's like Marshalltown Gold or Nida Gold or whatever, and it's got that kind of lovely gold film on the back, but that gets scratched to bits and wears off before you know it. And it's a good trowel, carbon steel trowel, mate. Was that 18-inch as well? Oof. Yeah, if you've got a big enough fork to handle it, mate, then great. I mean, if you get any bigger than that, then you do need a bigger hulk for it, for sure. Diggity dar, hey mate, nice to see ya. Nice to see you. Summer's coming. The days are getting longer. The weather's slowly starting to warm up again. Thank God, because it's been flipping freezing. Like a bit of sunshine. The old sun's come out from behind the cloud. Fine, and then goes behind the cloud, and wind cuts through you. But now it's warming up again. So I'm hoping it's going to stay like that, because I'm getting a bit fed up with the old cold. The old cold. But now, like tonight, I don't know what you guys, if you're indoors or in the garden or what, but I'm basically in a room with all the blinds pulled down to stop the sun coming in. Dear. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see me for the old sun gleaming off my t-shirt. Oh dear. What have you guys been up to? The plasterers among you, have you been having a busy week, or doing anything exciting? Something terrible? Had any dodgy jobs or dodgy customers? Any potential customers watching? Sometimes. Yes, sometimes you get a few customers that I've never had any plastering done before and don't have too much of a clue about it, but they're fairly rare. Most people have got a rough idea of what needs doing. Right, don't forget you can ring in, like I don't know which guy it was, but the guy that rang in last week. We had a good old chat on the phone for your listening pleasure. Check a trade, my builder, most plasterers are really busy. I was on James. I was on Trust a Trader last year, but then the old COVID thing kicked in. They extended the contract on Trust a Trader for about 2 months, and it's just expired. But I haven't bothered renewing it. I was thinking I might give Check a Trade a go. But like your views on it, mate. If you've been using them, how long you've been using them, how you found them. Because with Trust a Trader, I wasn't overly impressed. Even like before the lockdown kicked in, the amount of jobs that I was getting for the money they wanted up front was disappointing, to say the least. Dear. Love My Builder, just pick the cream. I signed on to My Builder years ago when it was a kind of a nothing site, and I hadn't really looked at it since. I think I've seen some adverts for it more recent times. I didn't know if it was any good now. There's so many of them out there, kind of trying to jump on the bandwagon of getting you to pay them to get you extra work, because I just find you can. I mean, some guys, I don't know how, do have a constant stream of work. I think they're too cheap. And most of the time, I've kept fairly busy, and most of the calls I get are from people that I've worked for before, friends of theirs, and the whole word of mouth thing. But when you get those lulls, that's a good time to have something like Check a Trade to bring stuff in. I did Rated People once, a couple of times years ago, when work was a bit tight. You're fighting for with two other guys for the same job, but you're paying up. The three of you are still paying up for the phone number as a lead, and you might not get it. So I knocked them on the head pretty quick. I might have a look at my the old My Builder. It's not called Love My Builder, is it? Or is it, James? But see where they're at now. Diggity dart. If you plaster in a wall with an external corner, but only want to plaster one surface, would you use a stop bead to finish? I would, mate. Yeah, I know you can have issues with if it's an exterior wall. We use quite a big, like if you're using a render stop bead in there, where it meets the opposite wall. I would normally run a cork line down it or some sort. I always chat with the customer first to say, look, we're not going around the corner, so I'm looking at putting a stop bead on the end. but I'm going to have to run a bit of caulk or a bit of sealant down the end where it meets the new wall, which once it's painted in, it doesn't look like anything, so it's not a big deal. Or you could finish it off freehand, but you still, where it meets the original, you still got to be a bit careful with that. But I generally always whack a stop beading. I'm doing a rendering job in about a week or so's time. Going to be using the mesh. I'll probably be videoing that one with my new camera. And see how we get on. See how we get on with that. Competitive LC, is that? Yeah, unless customers want you to just feather in the edge. Yeah. Feather probably looks better. Competitive LEC. Sorry, I'm rubbish at these long names. You guys are going to have to shorten your handles or whatever you call them nowadays, so they're just easier and quicker to say. Like diggity da. Goes into a bay window. This is outside. You said diggity, didn't you? Jamie O'Sullivan. My builder gave £100 free credit. Got one job. Have about 60. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Some of them do deals now and again. I think Trade have been doing some deal recently, but I haven't. Kind of keep thinking, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then I'm just not getting around to it. Jordan, hi Jordan. I'm absolutely fine, mate. Thankfully, rendering 2 walls in a cellar tomorrow. It's full of paint. It's full of paint, so going to be a nightmare wire brushing and sculpting the paint off. Any easier ways or tips? Not really, mate. You can get an angle grinder with an attachment that would do a quicker job of sorting that out. I only know about those because I used them for. I've got a little bit into welding, which is quite exciting. Makes a change, and it's the different types of wire brushes you can get. You can also buy these kind of like carbon type wheels that I use them for cleaning metal off when I'm doing any kind of welding. But that would help like scarify, sculpt, sort out the surface. But so it's really got loads of paint, right thick paint presumably then, from what you're saying, mate. I said it right. Competitive LSC. Competitive LSC. I just call you LSC. Or comp for short. Noel Maguire. Hi Noel. Tips for replastering over external render wall without taking off the original plaster. Well, the wall I'm doing in a couple of weeks' time, it's the side of a garage. It's got quite a few cracks in it, but it's as solid as a rock. But obviously the guy don't like the look of it. I'm going to put a scratch coat on that. I'm embedding the old plastic mesh, plastic fiberglass, right across the whole wall. Scratching that again, like leaving it. I say scratching it again. I'm putting a scratch coat on. I'm bedding the fiberglass or plastic. So there's different types of stuff. I think the one I bought was plastic, like mesh, right across the whole wall, so it covers all the cracks that are in it. Putting a scratch on it, leaving it to the next day, and then the next day hitting it with a rubbed up sand cement. What I don't normally do, but I don't want to get caught out on it, is I am going to put waterproofer in the scratch, so when I put the top coat on the next day, the whole wall will be wet from start to finish so I can get the whole thing on nice and early, hoping that it'll dry quick enough for me to be able to get a really nice floated sponge finish on it before it's time to go home. Still, it don't get dark till like 9:30 now, does it? So if it goes a bit pear-shaped, but sometimes if you don't, and it's a sunny day and the top coat goes off too quick, trying to get a nice finish with sand and cement render. Recently, I've been looking at some of these monocouche and stuff, you kind of looks like you just put the stuff on and you scratch it off, some kind of scratcher. But I've heard you can get quite a lot of mould growth growing in because it's quite a porous finish on that. But yeah, sticking with sand and cement, that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'd suggest to you, mate. Noel, at the end of the day, I hope that helps you out, mate. If not, or if you wanted to know something else other than what I've just said, but yeah, that's the only tips I can give you. That's what I'll be doing next week. But yeah, as I say, beware if you do put a load of waterproof in your scratch coat, your top coat the next day will hang about. Will hang about before you can rub it up. So you basically be a case of you lay the whole thing on, and then probably worth going and doing something else while it starts to slowly pick up. But that way you've got it all on nice, and you can get a nice rubbed up finish on it as it goes off, and it's easier for ruling as well. Because again, if your top coat starts going off too quick and you're trying to rule it off, it can cause you no end of hassle. Internal. Plastering. It's sorry, Diggity. I can't remember which wall's internal now. It's an internal render you're going to be doing. James, are you using flex trowels on all of your sets? Yes, James. I've got an Ox Ultraflex, which is mostly what I use. I tend to be, I mean, a lot of the guys, they collect trowels like trophies, but I tend to get the ones I want and use them till they're full to bits, till they're getting well worn in, and then I'll just make sure I've got something else lined up. If I'm happy with a trowel, I tend to stick with it. You can try other trowels if you've got the money to kind of blow on them, because some of the decent new ones are not cheap. But for me personally, I don't see a point of having a collection of different size trowels, different types of trowel from a shape point of view, but not just buying lots of different trowels for the hell of it. But but my Ox Ultraflex, I always finish off with that, because I use my speed skims for the majority of my work now when I'm doing a set. With the metal bladed one on the second coat, when I'm spraying my water or chucking my water up with a brush, I take that the metal blade speed skim across it. Acts like a great big trowel, it comes up really lovely. Then you could probably leave it like that without running the trowel over the top, but I've never wanted to chance it. So after I've done that, I will wet it some more and go over it with me with me flexi trowel. But I will always use it. I don't finish off with my Marshalltown anymore, because it just doesn't give the same kind of finish, even though it's well worn in. Saying that, a proper carbon one that's properly worn in and like a razor, you'd probably use that. You can get issues with if you use a flexible trowel on anything other than for troweling up. You can cause yourself dips and all sorts of stuff in the plaster going on. But I always lay on with a Marshalltown, but use my speed skims, and then I always finish off now with a flexible trowel of whatever brand is your preferred one. Thanks, last trowel. My last trowel, mate, is the flexible one always. Even if I like that, if I do a hard trowel at the end, I'll be using the flexi one. Competitive LSE. I've been getting a lot of tiger stripes. I get that a lot. I get tiger stripes sometimes, but I get that question a lot about people getting tiger stripes on their stuff. Tiger stripes on this job I'm on. Any idea why? I can't figure out how to prevent them. Are you getting the tiger stripe? Are you using a speed skim LSE on that job, or these tiger stripes coming from your trowel? Normally, it's a case of the plaster's too dry to run a trowel across it without any water. that'll cause tiger stripes. I mean, I've taken a metal bladed speed skim across a wall that was a little bit too dry. I'd sprayed a little bit of water on it, but it sucked in. And I was getting tiger stripes on that as I took it across. But at the end of the day, there's nothing, when it comes to decorating, tiger stripes don't cause an issue. Okay, it might not look, I mean, sometimes I used to think tiger stripes look quite good in plaster, as opposed to it just being completely like brown, pink, whatever. But as long as they don't show up through the paintwork, which generally you find that they don't, I won't worry about them too much, mate. But yeah, just make sure you've got plenty of water on something on the set when you're troweling it up, and don't use any kind of plastic float or plastic trowel on it, because that will cause tiger stripes, depending how far off it's gone. Hope that helps you. Hope that helps you, mate. Right. Ray. Hi, Ray. Ray Show. Have you got a preference for brand PVA? I have got a preference, Ray. I have got a preference. My preference is the cheapest PVA that B&Q sell. But saying that, recently I bought a load from, because it was cheaper, from Everbuild's PVA, because I got it on Amazon. Yeah, check out links in description. Yeah, any cheap PVA that's not gone off because it's old. I bought some in Wicks a few weeks back now. Took the top off and it smelt like rotten eggs. When I checked the sell by on it, it was about a year out of date. But anyway, that's by the by. Yeah, no, you can spend an arm and a leg on some of the more fancy, like Unibond PVAs and ones that they call up for external work and all the rest of it. But I just find they're just a waste of money at the end of the day. If I need grit in something, I will stick kiln dried sand in my PVA. But I rarely do that. I use neat PVA. I don't water it down. I do one coat. If a wall seems really porous and the PVA goes off really quick, I will maybe give it a second coat. But 9 times out of 10, I'm putting one neat coat of cheap PVA. I'd say normally B&Q PVA, because it was about a tenner. But the ones you can get for Everbuild now on Amazon's about £6-7 for 5 litres. So needless to say, that's why I bought it, because I like going for cheap when it comes to stuff. As long as stuff works, I won't pay through the nose for it. I won't buy blue grit, red grit, yellow grit. Some guys love them. SBR, don't bother using SBR either, though I'm sure there's probably a few good things that SBR are good for, but I've never lacked needing so, I've never thought, oh, if only that job had come out better if I would have had SBR. But it's never been an issue. I've used it for years. I've used it neat for years. I'll put a little bit of water with it to just if it's a little bit too stodgy, just so it rolls on easier. I'll work it well in, but I put on neat PVA. And like a job I was on today that just got back in time to do this tonight, that all got PVA today. By the time I protected all the carpet and the stairs, PVA'd it all. That's all that's been done there, and that'd be great for hitting tomorrow. And yeah, and I've done that again a lot, and I've never had any issues. I've only had issues with skimming when I've gone over tacky PVA and it's moved or slipped because it wasn't tacky enough, or it wasn't dry enough, in my opinion. But yeah, letting it dry completely has never caused me an issue. So if that helps, great. If you like using it when it's tacky, that's entirely up to you. If it basically whatever works well for you, do it. I'm just telling you the kind of things that I do, and they work. So I kind of think, why, spend the money unless you say like on blue grit or something like that. Yeah, so I'm PVA, LSC, PVA every time, mate, every time. I don't think I've ever bought any blue grit. Well, I've never really had a need to. I've said before on here that I've rendered a porcelain butler sink that I just PVA'd with a cheap PVA. The PVA was neat, But even I wasn't sure whether it would stay on there. But it worked a treat on a porcelain sink. Okay, so that's render on a porcelain sink that I PVA'd. That's why I just don't mess about with anything else. And let's say if needs be, you chuck some sand in it. It's a lot cheaper. I'm all about getting the job done, getting it done good, getting it done quick, and getting it done for like a reasonable price. You don't want to be spending a fortune on materials that you don't have to. At the end of the day. Chris, hi Chris, nice to see you, mate. Seen you for a while. 6 new build houses to plaster at the moment. Oh, wow, keep you busy then, mate. I hope you got help with that, and you're not doing it one man band style, because that'll keep you. Wow, because that'll keep you busy for a good old stint. Whereabouts are you working, Chris? Are you London based, or are you out in the woods somewhere? Or even nicely made down by the coast? Some guys work down by the coast, which I'd love that. James, do you spray water before using your flexi? Yes, I always spray water before using the flexible one. I don't use it without spraying water. Same with my metal speed skim. I basically don't start using the metal one until I am putting water on the wall. Again, if you use a metal one too soon, you can get blistering because it draws the water to the surface, which plastic speed skim opens up the pores of the plaster and helps it to set, even if you don't want it to set too quick. But yeah. Display water, Chris. Oh, Dorset. Dorset's quite nice, mate, isn't it? It's quite nice. I don't know what prices, because obviously the prices in London where I'm based are all pretty good on for most jobs. If you're a half decent plasterer, but I don't know how it varies around the country. I know obviously some places further north you can't get such a good rate on jobs, but and again saying that, it depends on the customers. I mean, you get rich people that live in Birmingham. You know what I mean? Dear. I'm what LSC. I'm pleased you're here tonight. Oh, Bournemouth. Oh, that's so sort of, yeah, that's coastal, isn't it, Bournemouth? I've always kidded myself, if I lived on the coast, Bournemouth or anywhere like that, I would go swimming in the sea more regular. There was a time not that long ago I was quite into ice baths and all that kind of stuff, and a bit of the old cold water swimming. And I still do a little bit of the ice baths, but I ain't been cold water swimming for donkeys. But if I live near the sea, I'll definitely get back into it and give it a go, because it does make you feel good. It's freezing, but you get used to it, and yeah, it does give you a buzz that you can't explain until you do it. That's why they suggest it as good people that suffer with anxiety and depression. They should get into cold water swimming. Which is obviously better in the winter, because in the summer it can still be cold, but it's generally more pleasant. But yeah, middle of winter, going in the sea, wow, yeah, give you a buzz. I used to jump into my not an ice bath, but I used to have a cold bath. Well, I've still got it out in the garden, and it is an old plastic mixing up bath, and it was a new one. I never used it for mixing up gear, and I just fill that full of cold water with a hose. Preferably if it had been a nice cold night, and then before work the next day, or before my shower, after my shower. If I had a shower, but I would still then come down, jump in the cold bath. I mean, straight in and straight out again, and that would really give you get you ready to go and hit the day running. Yeah, no, I was into the cold showers. I was into Wim Hof method. I don't know if you've ever done any of that kind of stuff, but I practiced that for about 3 years. I just went everywhere in a t-shirt for about 3 years, no matter what the weather was. Through the winter, I mean, you get such crazy looks from people when you're walking up the high street and it's snowing and you got on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. But and you do just learn to really tolerate the cold really well. But yeah, now you only got to not do it for long, and it's really hard to get back into doing. But cold showers, yeah, no, I love the old cold showers, which I normally do when the gyms are open. But I've got to get back to the gym, but I don't really want to go there until I haven't got to book it, and still keep some kind of distancing going. But yeah, no, cold showers every time. Big thumbs up for cold showers. Any of you other people listening that aren't into cold showers, give it a go, because it will change your life. It don't take long to get used to having a cold shower, and it will really give you a buzz. And you lose the cold shock thing as well, which is the another main reason for doing it. Once you can just get into, you lose cold shock, you can get into anything. You can get into a nice bath. It doesn't even take your breath away. I've got a video of that, but I'm not going to post it on YouTube. Oh, not on my plastering channel anyway. Oh dear. Yeah. Oh dear. Welcome to any new guys or girls that are watching this evening. I'm Eric the Plasterer. I've been plastering for 36 years. Based in South London. If you've got any questions from a customer's perspective, this is the place to ask them. If you're looking at getting into plastering, if you're a novice or someone that's just started or doing a bit of DIY and you want to know anything, then this is a place to come to get those questions answered, and to have a chat and to get to know a lot of the other regular guys that come along. We've got a lot of plasterers that are time-served tradesmen. We've got a lot of DIYers. We've got a lot of guys that have changed career quite late and gone from plumbing to plastering. So yeah, this is a place to come. James, I'm on a big house in High Wycombe. I gave the sponge float a go, enjoying it, a bit different. Nice finish. What, sponge float on the old on the skim? I've never liked the look it gives you. You get a wall looking really lovely, and if you go, oh yeah, I'll hit it with the old sponge float now, and as you start putting those swirly marks in it, yeah, it builds up fat, and then you're troweling that fat around to help get a nice finish at the end of the day. But yeah, I haven't used sponge floating on a wall for donkeys. Blaine Gray, he does quite a bit of sponge floating. Seems to like it. Again, if you like sponge floating, then crack on with it. In most of my jobs, I try to get them just bashed out fairly quick. If you've watched any of my videos, this one on the side there, the ceiling, that is I put my first coat on, and then I knock up what's left of the first coat, because it's like a 2-bag mix, quite a big ceiling. I knock up what's left with some water of the first coat to thin it down, and then I'll do my second coat more or less straight away with that, and the whole set goes off at the same time. So the set, like for that ceiling, you're talking about 2 to 2.5 hours for the whole thing. I've never been one for putting a coat on and letting it nearly dry. Well, not dry, but start to go off, and then mixing up a whole fresh batch. Because it just delays the finishing time, and I say I like to get a job done fairly quick. I do stick it on with my Marshalltown. I use my plastic speed skim, then I use the metal skim with water speed skim, and then I might use my Marshalltown a little bit again, depending, and then I'll finish off with water and my flexi, and it's a lovely job. Nice, flat, smooth. Customers love it. I love it. I get paid, and I'm off to the next one. But yeah. Ray. Oh, hang on. Competitive. If YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Oh dear, that's not good. Well, anyway, guys, hopefully this is still working, but YouTube's telling me it's not working properly. But you'll have to let me know in the comments if it's going a bit juddery or if it's jumping about. Sorry, where were we? Competitive LSE. Yeah, if you have a wall that's drying at different speeds, the sponge is brilliant. Yeah. Well, the sponge. Are you talking about skimming LSE? Because I use obviously I do that for a sponge if I'm doing a sponged up render. But But generally, if you've got a decent base coat of PVA on an old wall, it should all be going off more or less the same speed anyway. Or I say the technique that where I use, I just water down what's left of my first coat to do my second coat. It all goes off at the same speed anyway. Ray, with Artex sealing, do you bond them out first, then set, or just set over them? I just do. Again, I've got a video on that. Only because I've done it for years. PVA it, I bond it, rule all that off with me speed skims, blah blah blah, and then I skim it. If it's the next day, I'm going to do it. I'll put another coat of PVA on it and then skim it. But if it's the same day, you can just whack the skim straight over the top. A lot of guys do a magic mix, they call it. Some of them use 50-50, 40-60 of bonding and finish mixed together for the first coat to help cover the bumps over. And then they use their second coat, they'll just use the skim. And there's different variations on that, but I've just got so used to doing it the way that I do it. It's still a two-coat affair for me, which, yeah, in some cases I suppose is a little bit slower. But I've done it for so long, I'm kind of a bit of an old dog, new tricks on that one. But a lot of guys now do, mix bonding and finish together for that first coat to go over bonding, over Artex, sorry. Visibility, skimming. Skimmer, let's see, that's the same, more or less, kind of goes off at the same speed anyway. But no, if you like doing the sponge and you get a nice finish at the end of it, then crack on with it. No problem at all. As I say, I'll suggest stuff on this channel and on my videos, but there's no one right way of doing something. I mean, something might have been done for years and years within a trade, but it's not kind of sacrosanct that you've got to do it that way. I don't care if your way is easier or if your way is quicker. You must do it this way. That don't count on this channel. And it should be the same. Guys should just help each other out, especially when it comes to like plastering, with questions, answers, and different ideas. I mean, the amount of beads in recent years recent months, I've not been doing it that long, that I've stuck on with mitre glue instead of sticking them in with finish or screwing them on, because that mitre glue goes off in 5 to 10 seconds, and it's the quickest if I'm putting beads on plasterboard or on the top of old plaster. I tend to PVA first when that's gone off, and then glue the beads on, because you're going to get a really good stick. But again, with that, I've had no issues, and it's a lot quicker. I mean, if the angle's quite good, if the angle's badly out, then you need to really stick them on with plaster. And I'll often, any kind of beads I'm using, even if they're skimming beads, I will use bonding and stick my beads on with that, because it take out a lot of the hollows where the bead is feathering. And if that feathering is taken up with bonding, then it's much less finish to do on the next stage. There's been other times where I've coated a whole wall in finish and then just squashed the beads into the finish and then troweled all that up, but you're using more finish doing that. And sometimes, as I say, I like to bond them on. But if the angles are nice and the beads are a tight fit anyway, I'll stick them on with mitre glue. So drop of that, quick spray of the old accelerator, and boom, it's gone. And you can do a lot of beading that way, and then you can just start knocking up your gear and away you go. But it's all about the getting loads of stuff prepped. Chris, options on the double battery mixer. Opinions. I've heard, mate, it's an absolutely fantastic mixer, the double battery, but it's about £600 or £700. I know it's a lot of money. If it's the one I'm thinking of, but they're great for on site because you ain't got to worry about transformers, and I suppose on domestic jobs as well. There's batteries and stuff now. It's got a lot of torque in it, as far as I know, and batteries last a lot longer than they used to years ago. Well, not saying that, they wouldn't have had a battery powered whisk. I mean, my Rafina Mega Mixer is 240 wired up one, but the torque in it, like you can knock up sand and cement and God knows what with it. And I've only had I'm on my third one now in sort of say 36 years, yeah. And the second one I could have just fixed it, but I just treated myself to a new one because the other one was getting a little bit dicky. I kept kind of going on and off. What's the glue you stick the beads on with? It's literally called mitre glue. There's different brands of it. Let's see. It's about, I think, a large. You get the glue. B&Q and places like that don't seem to sell it. You need to go to a builder's merchants, or you can order it online. The glue pot's not particularly big, but it goes a fair distance, and you get a can of spray with it. If you just push the bead on and then don't use the spray after, it takes a bit longer. But with the accelerator, I tend to basically stick it on and then just give it a quick spray, count to 5 and let it go, and you're good to go. But it's generally it's called mitre glue because it's chippies will use it for when they're doing a little bit of what do you call it, a plinth around a kitchen or something like that. They can just put some on, spray it on, push it together, hold it for 5-10 seconds, let it go, and they're good to go. Whereas they used to like maybe stick them on with wood glue and have to put little clamps on to hold them. So it's mostly a glue that a carpenter would use. It's not normally something a plasterer would use, but it's becoming popular. Again, the video on the left, all the beads there have been stuck on with mitre glue. So mitre glue is what you want to be searching for, and it comes with an accelerant spray. I don't know if your question's been answered there, James. Is it you can get the mitre glue in decent sort of builders merchants, but they won't. Places like B&Q don't do it. They do super glue, but that's just ordinary super glue. So it's mitre glue with an accelerant spray. It always comes with a spray. You get the glue and a can of spray, and so you literally put the glue on the bead. Then I just push it on. I'll give it a quick spray up and down, count to 10, let it go, and it's you're good to go to the next bead. Yeah, no, give it a go. I mean, you might not like it, but I didn't think I'd like it because a guy suggested it. What's his name on YouTube? Plastering Guru, I think he is. And it crossed my mind to use it, and I thought, because it's got a bit of a smell to it, but it doesn't. It's not a nasty smell, but it goes quite quickly. And I thought, I don't think I would bother. And then he did a video of him using it, and I thought, I'll try it, but I don't know if I'll use it that often. But I got it, and I did, and I use it a lot. It's costing me a fortune in glue. But it's not too bad. And for the time it can save you on certain jobs, I love it. Yeah, give it a go and see what you think. And when you come back or leave comments later on or on another videos, let us know how you got on with it and what you thought of it. But I love it. Ray, I've used that sticks like. Sorry, Ray, what's that? I've used that sticks like stuff for beads. Sticks like. Yeah, sorry, mate. I'm getting old. I mean, some guys use carpet glue spray. It doesn't go off as quick, but other guys use a cork. Stick them on with cork. Builders, filling cork. Some guys now buy it's a bit like the fiberglass joint tape to kind of stick the beads on with that, but they don't look that great as far as I can see. What's that? You can now buy bead. Yeah, the bead tape, Michael. Yeah, that's the stuff I was just literally mentioning then. I've seen it, and I've seen a few pictures of it being used, and I think a couple of videos, and yeah, it looks okay. It's another way of sticking a bead, but compared to the other options, I wouldn't have been that keen. Where are we? Darren, hi Darren. I've got a deep scratch on my Plastiflex trowel. Any tips on repair or replace it? Cheers for that, mate. Cheers. When you say a scratch, do you mean a dink in the edge of the blade? Obviously, if you've got a scratch on your back or the front of the trowel, that's not an issue. If you've got a nasty dink in the blade, it's whether or not you can wear it, like rub it out on stone or on with sandpaper. So I'm having a senior moment there. Yeah, on the old if it's too deep a nick, then you just need to buy another trowel. Because I had that once. I had a trowel. I had it for years, and I dropped it, and it just, I don't know what it hit, and it had literally had a semicircle in it, and it was so deep into the edge of the blade, it had it. But yeah, it purely depends how bad the nick is, mate, in the trowel. But yeah, that's a bummer when you do damage it. The job I'm on today, I got there was I'm doing a haul stairs and landing at the minute, and it did have a handrail down the right hand side, one of those old ones, and I knew the guy was going to put it back again. And when I got there this morning, it put all the screws back in, and it goes up the wall and around the corner, and I don't know, there's about 50 screws. And I did say to him, and it's something I'm going to try because I bought it, it'll be in the next video. I bought these little spots that one of the other guys told me about. They're either red or blue, and they're little circles, and you literally stick them on to the wall you're going to plaster. And when you skim over it, apparently it better work. I'll be in big trouble otherwise. The red or the blue, whatever the colour the stain is, bleeds through your finish, so you can see exactly where your screw hole is. And I bought a pack of these. It's about I think it's 25. It was about eight or 9 quid. But I've realised I need more than 25 now. But hey ho. Yeah, and they seem like a really good idea for finding out where screws and stuff are. Can't remember what question I'm answering now. Oh yeah, because dinking a trowel, and 9 times out of 10 you end up dinking a trowel on the flipping screw that's in a wall. And when you're doing a big wall, any of you guys that do quite a lot of plastering will know, going around screws, it's doable, but it's such a pain in the rear end to have to do it. But hopefully these things, if they work, man, I'll order them in bulk. Because I'd love to just stick little dots where people want screws to go back in. Most oftentimes it'll be radiators and stuff like that, or TV brackets. And if they work, well, you'll definitely know. If they don't, because I'll be telling everybody. But they'll be in my next video, so hopefully they'll do a good job. Yeah, and I think that bead tape is probably a bit pricey, LSE. Dink, yeah, Darren, yeah, if it's a dink, mate, if you can get it out, but if it's really deep, it's a new trowel job, I'm afraid. Throw it out, cut it into, what's that? Don't throw it out if it's badly dinked. Cut into strips and use it for awkward areas. Cool. How would you cut it though? With an angle grinder, or you probably couldn't cut it with tin snips, could you? But yeah, if you can cut it and use it for getting into, I don't know how well that would work. I think it'd probably be easier to just buy some of the the narrow margin ones for doing up against the edge of door frames and stuff. But yeah, it's an idea. It's an idea. Paul, hi Paul. Darren, that thermalite blocks are quite good for rubbing. Yeah, thermalite blocks. Well, concrete blocks as well. Nicks and scratches in trowels. This is very, very true. Ray, when will that vid be out? I'm literally filming it at the moment, mate. I started it today. actually, I'm probably going to put it out in little bits because people prefer short videos than long ones. It'll be called Day in the Life of the Plasterer or something like that. And it probably won't be tonight, but I'll put the first bit up. And it's got these red dots in it, which I'm sticking on. Also, I'm pretty sure I've put a picture of them on my somewhere on the YouTube channel up in the community tab. I think I put a picture of them up in there. I put a picture of them up somewhere. Just can't exactly remember where. But yeah, if they work, they'll be brilliant. If they don't, this is how I'll be in big trouble because I'm gonna have to re-drill all these guys' holes for his banister, which I haven't allowed for that in the price. Oh dear. Get your teeth on it. Oh dear. Yeah. So no, I bought myself. Normally for most of my videos, I've got a standard kind of like video camera that I use, and talking with some of the other spreads, I've seen some of their footage really seems to be crispy clear, and they said, "Oh, get a GoPro, mate, get a GoPro." So I got a GoPro 9. I've only literally just got it, and I was using that today. But you can get better perspectives with it. You can see a lot more of a wall using this camera. It does nice clear pictures, and you can stick it on your dashboard or on your head. It's waterproof. So I'm going to make the most of it in the next video and a few of the videos, and you have to give me your opinion and see what you think. I'll be using my other camera as well, but because this one's new, obviously I want to play with it. So my next video or two will be probably mostly using that camera, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Oh dear, how are we doing for time? Out, put on the old goggles. Never have had this computer, and I still don't know where to look for the time. 4 minutes past 8. 4 minutes past 8. Oh yeah, it's not bad. We normally end up on doing about an hour and a half or something like that on here. Don't like to have them too long because I do put them up as videos as well, and generally tend to use these as put them up as a podcast, and wherever you get your podcasts, and in Spotify obviously, which is a big one, because some people like to listen to Ask the Plasterer at work, stick in some headphones, find it as a podcast, and off you go and listen to my lovely dulcet tones. And anyone that ever rings in, which is rare, but say a guy rang in last week and it was just nice to have a chat with someone live and get another voice on this live stream. But if you guys don't mind just listening to me, then that's absolutely fine. JT, hi JT. LSC, yeah, take care, mate. If you're just going. JT, why do people say you should only use Superflex trowels at the end, then flatten with a speed skim? Speed skim is flexible as well, so it's no different than using the Superflex. Hang on, why do you only use Superflex trowels at the end? It's just if you use a Superflex trowel too soon, because of the flexibility in it, what you shouldn't use a Superflex trowel for is laying on, because if it's very flexible, the idea it will dip into any kind of dips. It can make dips in your finish. I mean, back in the day, skimming used to be a free coat affair, and one of those coats you had to put on, or I was told I had to put it on with a wooden float because it was rigid and solid and it would not flex to get a nice flat wall. Obviously, Marshall towels aren't that flexible, which is why you use those generally for laying on, and the flexi trowels mostly for when you're hitting it with the water or polishing up. Again, the only metal blade I will use that's slightly flexible is on my metal bladed speed skim, and I will only use that when I'm putting water on the wall stage of the skim of the set. Yeah, so you can get dips if you use a flexible trowel for laying on or for troweling up too soon. Yeah, but it's one of those things. I mean, you can try it out in different ways, but that's the main what most guys would tell you at the end of the day. I think at one point I did try. I troweled something up a bit too early. It was still a bit wet, using a flexible trowel, and yeah, it didn't. I went over it again while I still could with my Marshall down when it was a lot better. So yeah, so there's a little bit of experience from that viewpoint. James, are you using any skinny brush on your internals, mate? Also, what's your brush technique when sets are done at different times? I go down my internals and often as well across the ceiling, and if I'm going down to a skirting, across the skirting, I'll use a small brush with water to get around those edges, or to take my internals in. I'm only using internal twitcher for my internals if I'm doing 2 wet walls at the same time, but I will run at the finishing stage. I will run a water brush up and down the internal joints. Skinny brush internals. What's your brush technique when sets are done at different times? Do you mean if I'm doing I've got one wall that's set and's gone off already, and then I'm coming up to that with a new set? If that's what you are asking me, then I just come up against the one that's already gone, and when the time's right, I will run again a thin water brush up and down where the new set meets the gone off set to get a nice angle, and does the job every time. If I'm doing a ceiling for someone, but I'm not touching the walls, they don't want the walls doing, I always, probably 9 times out of 10, I run a cork bead around the edge of the ceiling. Main reason, looks bloody brilliant afterwards, rather than having a bit of a wiggle of plaster, even if it's just the watermark that's up there. If you run a cork bead around it, and the walls, they're just going to repaint the walls or whatever, it finishes off your ceiling really nice because you get a nice edge to it. It's a bit like if you cut the grass on a lawn and you don't cut around the edges and there's bits of grass growing up the fence. It don't look as good as if you trim all around the edges of the fences. It's just getting a neat edge round. So in those circumstances, I'll use a bit of cork, but I won't use cork on an internal unless it's the original wall that we're just going to paint, and I'm taking a new set up to that, and then depends how it looks. But yeah, if it's nice and straight, because I will say to people, if your wall is badly out, a skim on it is not going to make it straight. Yeah, I can, if you want me to add a price for it, I can bond it out or bring the skim out thick enough that you'll get the straight on the internal. But generally, so if it's on the wonk, even slightly, I won't put a bead down it because the white bead emphasises the fact that the angle isn't absolutely square. But if it is, again, I will run a cork bead down where my plaster meets the original plaster that they're not touching. Just makes for a nicer looking finish at the end of the day. Again, I've had no issues with that, and customers seem to love it. So, are you using any? Oh no, I've done a bit. JT, do you prefer a Featherage or Derby for external rendering? I did quite like a Derby, to be honest. I mean, I haven't done any major rendering for a long time. And sadly, I am using speed skim for ruling, and I've got a long Featherage, aluminium Featherage that I use. Derby was nice because of the way you could grip on their handles for ruling. So I probably wouldn't go out and buy a Derby now because I don't do enough rendering anymore. But if I did do more rendering, sand cement rendering, I'll pop out and buy a Derby as opposed to just using an alley straight edge Featherage. Is there much difference between the two? Probably not at the end of the day. Between a Featherage and a Derby, as I say, that a Derby's just more controllable, and you can get a tilt because you've got two handles. They're like hawk handles, basically, aren't they? Which you can screw in. to a derby, and you just got more control when you're trying to angle it for feathering stuff off and what have you. But yeah, that's the only difference there. God, I'll do some more coke, but I'm out. How are we doing? Right, guys, if I can leave you just for 10 seconds to chat among yourselves while I go and grab myself another drink, because I am really, really thirsty. I'll be back in a second. And I'm back in the room. Yep. Hello. Sorry about that. Don't mind forfeiting my dinner when I get in late to do Ask the Plasterer. When I'm thirsty, especially as I have to do most of the talking. There's a lot of you guys never ringing. Right. Let's change the screen just for a minute. There you go. So, has anyone got any other questions that they would like to ask? Plastering related? Well, generally plastering related. Otherwise, people that tune in to Ask the Plasterer start talking about something else. They'll go, yeah, yes, not quite what I signed up for. But yeah, so new video out soon. As I say, it's some short ones that I'm doing with the old GoPro. Because I think I just like wearing a camera on my head. Customers look at you a bit funny, but oh dear. Ray, when floating out a block wall, do you damp the walls first with water, or do you use water down PVA? Depends. I mean, if the weather's not too hot, I mean sunny in the summer. Depending whether the sun's been directly on the wall or not. If it hasn't, or it is, but the temperature's reasonable hot as opposed to like can't stand it hot, I'll soak it with a hose if it's breeze blocks. But give it a good soak and then see how fast it's sucking in the water. I suppose you could put a water down PVA on it. Wouldn't do any harm at the end of the day to do that. But yeah, I would normally just soak the wall with a hose, assuming the hose is available on the job. Hope that helps, Ray. Yeah, guys, for any of you that don't know, which is hard to believe if the rate I bang on about it. Plastering community. It's a Discord server where basically it's called Ask the Plasterer, and there is a link in the description of all my videos to that. On there you can ask not just me questions, but all the other guys are on there as well. I say all the other guys, at the moment there's about 21 of us on there, which isn't a massive deal. But so it's a little bit quiet. But the more people sign up to it, the busier it'll get. You can post pictures on there, videos on there. You can live chat on there if you want to. You don't have to ring it into it or anything. You just literally just click on a button. You can either listen to other people chatting, or you can just join in. And you can type to each other on there. There's text, talk, text, chatting about tools. Chatting about plastering, different kind of channels on it, but it's a Discord server. Ask the Plasterer. The links are in the description. Sign up to it. It's easy to become a member. You ain't got to fill anything in. You just have to click a little tick, and you become a member. It's as simple as that. It is an app, but it's a silly little app, but it can be really good. Oh, diggity darn! I'm disappointed. I still can't work out how to get on Discord. There's a go on the link. Go on the link, mate. Get back on there, and it should be self-explanatory. If you are getting on it at all, tell me what the issues are. Send me an email to erictheplasterer@gmail.com. Right, Rob. Hi, Rob. I've just got myself an Ox Speed Skim 900. Yep, brilliant. Any tips, as I've not used one before? 900 is a great. It's a great size wise. It's not too small. It's not too big. It's just right for most jobs that I found, because I'm basically using a 900 all the time. I'm assuming you've got the plastic one. And that if it's the only one you've got, it's the plastic one is what you want, because basically you chuck your first coat on and then you roll it off using the plastic speed skim. Flattens it out lovely. It opens the pores of the plaster, the texture of the plaster, which helps it to set. If you've accidentally bought a metal bladed speed skim, you can't really use that until you're on the second coat and chucking water on it stage of sort of troweling it across, because a metal speed skim will draw the water to the surface of your finish and make it blister, apart from other things it can also do. So if it's a plastic one, you put your first coat on, you roll it off with the speed skim. For me personally, I then knock up what I've got left of my first mix. It's starting to get a little bit thicker this time. Obviously it goes off a bit quicker when you do this. I water that down and I hit my second coat more or less straight away over the top of that first coat. Then I leave that, and then when that's picking up enough that I can put water on it, that's when I will use a metal bladed speed skim. If you haven't got a metal bladed speed skim, you can go over it again with a plastic speed skim, but make sure you've got quite a bit of water on it if it's starting to pull, because you will get quite a lot of tiger striping in it if it's too dry, and it can drag the plaster, being a plastic one. But just put plenty of water on it, and then just finish off with your trowel. Either Marshalltown trowel, but generally industry standard, or one of the fancy ones, or then a flexible to finish off. But yeah, that helps, man. Zoltar, hello, mate. Yeah, nice to see you. Where you been? You just got here. JT, do you still think plastering is a good trade for youngsters coming up? Yeah, I mean, plastering. I think they've made a lot of new tools and different types of spray-on plasters and stuff, but there's a lot of them are still very gimmicky things, or kind of bits of equipment that either cost a fortune, or they can't. They can only get them in onto big jobs. You can't get them in a domestic house. If you do a lot of domestic work, which is basically all I do now. I used to work in construction on sites for builders and companies, but I knocked that on the edge years ago because it's just a nicer life doing domestic jobs. Yeah, there's plenty of work out there, even with all the plasterers that are about. Though people often say to me, "Oh, I can't find a plasterer to save my life." I'm thinking, "You sure?" Let's look on YouTube. There's hundreds of us, and a lot with channels as well. When I started this channel, I thought there's a lot of guys out there, like plasterers, doing teaching as well and other stuff. And is it going to, is it worth it? But no, I love it, and I'm not breaking the bank or anything. But what we got, about 1,300 subscribers now, which is lovely. It's not in the hundreds of thousands, but who knows? One day. But yeah, work-wise, it's still a good trade to get into, and a lot of younger guys still are. There is also, I think it's still there, a link in the description to the government are doing they're doing lots of stage 3 courses for free. If you're eligible, you have to be 19 and over. Well, you could get yourself. You have to look into it on a free plastering course, basically, without having to pay. Because there's a lot of plastering courses you can go on and pay £600 upwards to do a week's intensive training. Obviously, it'd be crazy to think when you come off of that you can just go and hit some big job somewhere, but you find out your limits fairly quick. Just have to start off carefully. But yeah, still definitely a good trade to get into. I wouldn't put anybody off of doing it at all. James, what's the best way to practice on stilts? Oh, mate, literally just to practice on stilts. When I first bought my stilts, you put them on. I can't remember how I put them on. I think I sat on my staircase, which I'm lucky enough to have a staircase, and pulled myself up on the. This isn't the way I do it now. I'll stick a ladder up against the wall, and you basically walk along the wall, holding onto the wall, because if you've never used them before, you might not want to let go of the wall. When I first bought a pair of stilts, I thought I'd wasted my money because I was kind of petrified. I put them on, but you do get the hang of them pretty quickly, and the way that the legs are sprung loaded and the feet or pivot and everything, they don't take that long to get hold of, and I've used them for years now, and stilts are brilliant in my opinion. Yeah, for any big ceiling, because you ain't got to worry about. Someone asked me, I don't think I answered their question. I don't know when they asked me now. It might have been in one of the comments. How do you trowel up a ceiling if you've just got a hop up? The short answer is you can't. You can only do as far as you can reach, and then you have to get down and move it. You can use 2 hop ups with a plank across, but doing that compared to just whacking on some stilts, and you can walk up and down and cross trowel the ceiling one way and cross trowel it the other way. I often use my speed skim up on my stilts as well. It's only very recently, since I bought a pole and an attachment, that I've whacked the stuff on, get off my stilts, and then go from the floor. Because in some cases it's a bit easier. It's a bit more difficult to get the hang of using a speed skim on a pole from the floor than up in the air on your stilts using it. But it comes in handy if you've got a ceiling that's so high you don't want to put your stilts up that high, because mine are adjustable. But yeah, the only way to get used to the stilts is just to practice on them, like anything else. At the end of the day, don't ever wear them outside though. It's dangerous as hell. Best way to practice on stilts. How do you get rid of your plastering waste when on domestic job, dirty water and left over plaster, etc. I always keep one bucket for the dirty water, like for cleaning out the whisk and stuff in between sets, in between mixes, and I tend to pour off. It does tend to settle when you're doing your last set. I pour off most of the water into another bucket. That I will put down the loo. Might have a little bit of residue in it, but not a lot. The bit of sludgy, runny stuff that's left, I will either put it straight into a rubble sack as it is, or you can chuck a handful of finish or bonding or anything else you've got into the slop that's left in that bucket to make it thicker, and just take it out and shove it in a black sack to take home, and then just rinse your buckets out. But yeah, it's not great. Don't ever put a load of sludge down someone's, not even their loo, because it can settle, and you don't want to be blocking up any pipes or anything like that. So that's what I do, Dilly. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. It's always been a pain getting rid of dirty water and stuff, but that's all you can do, really. Patrick. Hello, Patrick. Make good. Make good. Finish. Sit. Sorry. You're not new to typing, Patrick, are you? Yeah, no worries, Diggity. No worries, mate. Right, how are we doing? Any more questions, guys? I might go and have some dinner if you haven't. I don't mind eating my dinner late. As long as I can keep you happy. I can answer all your burning questions. Let's see. I can't find an employed plastering job. Most plasters are self-employed. I was always sceptical about being self-employed as no guaranteed work, no pension, etc. How do you find it? How do I find it? I would never want to work for anybody else ever. From the minute I went, when I went self-employed, 1984. What was I, 20 something, early 20s, and the risks are kind of, and then not getting sick pay and all that, are kind of not having to work for a boss. I mean, your only boss really, especially if you do domestic work, is your customer that day or that couple of days or that week, and you're not stuck with going to the same place all the time. Trying to get a job as a plasterer for a company, even if you do, generally they still want you to be self-employed anyway. Getting in a company on the cards now is it's quite difficult as far as I know. Back in the day, it was more or less like if you were going to become a spread, you just kind of took it for granted you were going to be self-employed. I mean, I quite relished the fact when I was younger, when I started it, of I've got myself a little old van. That was a bit of a death trap, but hey. My dad painted, God bless him, he'd been long gone, painted my little plastering man on the side and my name. Probably looking at it now, we look pretty rough being painted by hand. I was quite good at painting my old man, but he was no Rembrandt. I found it, I've never regretted, this is probably the best answer, I've never regretted going self-employed as a plasterer. You get some tough times, but that tough times, when I'm talking about tough times, I mean like I've lived through kind of like 2 recessions since I've been self-employed plasterer. They weren't great, but I did a bit of cab driving at that point. But being able to basically choose your own times and days, I mean, if you want to take some days off whenever, you just take them and you just book your jobs around them. You know, you don't have to ask the boss that you're working on, what can I have next week off or the week after that? But even as a plasterer for a plastering company on the cards, you can't just have a week off willy-nilly. You know, you can book it. But self-employed all the way. It's not easy, but you know, but no job ever is. Pension, pensions. You got to be. I started a pension when I first went self-employed, and I think I paid into it for about 5 years. And then I stopped, which probably wasn't the best thing to do. So, but you have to make your own decision at the end of the day. If you want to get in with the old plastering, then you probably will have to be self-employed. But bite the bullet. I mean, I don't know if you're a really young guy or an older guy wanting to do it, but good luck with it. Patrick, have you used a battery whisk? I've never used a battery whisk. I know the expensive, good branded ones are amazing. I wouldn't bother buying a cheap battery one, but no, I've not. I've always had a plug-in 240 Refina Mega Mixer because they knock up anything from any kind of plaster to sand and cement. So fantastic. Is it worth the investment? What, a battery whisk? I couldn't tell you. I mean, the guys that have had them so far, think they're fantastic, think they're lovely, but I haven't had them for that long. I don't know how hard wearing they are. As I said, I've had 3 mega mixers in 36 years, and I probably could have got away with not buying the third one. My second one was just a bit battered, and it was getting a little bit temperamental, so I bought another one. But so they last the distance. I know guys that have had the same mega mixer for 36 years, just the one. If anything goes, it'll be the brushes. You can just buy some new brushes. You can buy brushless whisks now, but yeah, so they're good, but I don't know whether they're worth the layout at the end of the day. If you really need a battery whisk, or you work on a site and you don't want to have to worry about leads or transformers, and how much meterage you can knock out if you're working that way on a site, that it might be good to have one. But I'm generally a plug-in mixer, even if you have to buy a 110 one if you're working on site as opposed to a 240. Because most of my jobs now are domestic. I just got 240 plug-in, and the lead's not a big deal. Hope that helps, Pat. Ray. First time on here, really enjoyed it. Cheers, Ray. Nice one. Thanks for the information. Cheers, buddy. No worries, Ray. If you're going, mate, nice to see you. Thanks for coming along. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you've already subscribed to my channel. And look forward to seeing the next Ask the Plasterer, which is in a fortnight's time. Zoltar, do you prefer big jobs as a week long, or do 1 day jobs like the odd ceiling? I like them. Oh, evening, darling. My daughter's popped on to see that my hair needs sorting out. Sorry, babe. I just about got in time from work to do Ask the Plasterer tonight, so I didn't have time to have a shower, so or eat my dinner. But I have got a Coca-Cola to keep me going. So what was I saying? Yeah, Zoltar. I don't mind any job that lasts up to about a week. Doesn't matter if it goes on for longer than a week. I quite like 1 day jobs as well, 2 day jobs, ceiling here, a room there. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, if you go to a job maybe that you're going to be on for a week, or probably 2 at the most, after that it's just nice to go somewhere else for a change of scenery, to do exactly the same thing all over again. But yeah, Michael, how is the cement situation your side of the country? Cement, as in sand cement. Yeah, no problem at all at the minute, mate. South Wales is like gold dust. Oh, saying that, I haven't had a good look really recently, but yeah, which I better double check, as I got a rendering job on in about a week's time. But yeah, no, I didn't realise there was an issue up there. Well, I don't know why. I don't suppose you know why either, do you? Just the fact that it's a bit. Oh, mind you, I could sell you a bag for 100 quid if you want. I'll send it by courier, and it's about another 100 quid for the postage because of the weight. Oh dear. Good answer. I can't remember what I was answering now, JT. I was working for a firm. They went bust. Oh, I've been there, mate. Then I haven't been on the Trowel since because I didn't have enough contacts to be self-employed at the time. Hi, PMPH. Nice to see you, mate. Evening. Yeah, no, I worked for a firm years ago, Perfectionist Plastering they were called, which I thought then, that's back in the 80s. I thought, well, that's a dodgy name to have. Really asking for trouble. And they went bust eventually. Took on too much work and made a big boo-boo with some... they took on some, I think it was Artex in ceilings in this great big estate we were plastering. And they didn't put in it, and there was trace heating in the ceiling. And the flats were furnished. It was quite posh over Hooper Square in the Tower Bridge. And when they tested the heating, all the Artex was peeling off the ceiling and dropping down onto the floor. And they went bust. Long story short. I got most of my money. That's another reason I didn't like working for builders and rather work like for myself. I mean, I was still self-employed. But yeah. Yeah, good evening, MP. Missed you again. You missed me. What do you mean missed me again? What do you mean? You mean you've just come on now because you didn't realise that Ask the Plasterer was always on at 7? Oh, I didn't realise it was on this Monday. Every fortnight, mate. It did change a bit because of Easter. But other than that, at the minute it's still 7 o'clock every 2 weeks. So not next Monday, but the Monday after, 7 o'clock. Don't be late, MP. All right. Dear. Cement is either unavailable currently or limited to 5 bags per customer. I over-ordered by mistake when I did the footings for my extension. I've got about 178 bags. Yeah, I think you need to send some of that up country. JT, so you've only got one ceiling to reskim, one hit. How much would you charge for it? Because you probably wouldn't be able to fit another job in the same day. If you're going to do any job, there's no such thing, JT, as a half-day job. It's a day. Basically, because as you say, yeah, you're not going to start trying to make up part. If you're a handyman that does bits of things in different jobs, that's a different story. But when you're a plasterer, you're putting your skill out there for people. They are paying for your skill. They're not paying through the nose for the plaster. Because let's face it, plaster's not madly expensive. It's your skill that they're paying for, and I will always charge a day's money. I'll say sorry. Like there's a minimum charge for if a job is small. Before I will quote someone, I don't need to quote them. If it's very small, I'll say, look, I'm quite happy to do that job for you, but there's a minimum charge of 200 quid in London. It depends where they are. If it's fairly nearby and it's straightforward, it'd be 200 quid. By the time you bought the gear, everything else you have to take into account because you're self-employed, that you're paying for your vehicle, your tax, your insurance, your pension, and everything else. You can't go doing a job for sort of like half a day's money and then just having the rest of the day off, because basically you've used up a day of your life. So yeah, always charge a decent minimum amount for a day, even if you charge a bit less than what you might normally for a day's work. Because I can charge $250, $350 for work, but generally my jobs are priced up anyway. I don't tend to do day work. So yeah, JT, never sell yourself short, mate. It's so easy to do. I don't know, I have done it in the past. I still underquote on some jobs now and think, oh, damn. Dear. You can forget you're doing it for a living, you know. If you're doing it for a hobby, it don't really matter, does it? For a bit of money on the side, but. MP, I mean, 17 bags. Yeah, 178 bags would have been really over ordering. MP. No, cool, mate. Yeah, don't miss me next time. That's it. 7 o'clock, 2 weeks' time on Monday. Unless something important happens. What can be more important than turning up at Ask the Plasterer? I do not know. My notifications are coming through late. My emails are always notifications from my emails are always coming through late. I don't know if something to do with Google. If yours are Google. Patrick, what's the day rate? Day rate London 250, 350. Depends how good you are, how much you can knock out. And as I say, if it depends, if I'm doing a standard room, just skimming, if it includes the ceiling, you're looking at £600, including the gear. I do say that I'll take the gear and the mess away and leave it tidy and no mess, and that they're getting a good deal. Yeah, I mean, if it takes longer to then it takes me a couple of days to do a whole room because I'm not going to kill myself. Extra time and stuff. Additives are great, but you know, I don't want to knock out a whole room in a day, including the ceiling. If it's a box room, okay, fair enough. But if it's a standard room or more, I always allow a couple of days for it. So it's got to be at least 600 quid, maybe 550 if I don't want the ceiling done. And it's just the walls. If you're not paying into a pension anymore, how do you plan to retire? Yeah, well, JT, I haven't mentioned because I didn't want to put you off that I'll probably be plastering until I'm 90 if I can keep going. I might only be able to reach halfway up most walls, so my quotes will have to be selective to people that only want plastering doing up to the dado rail. I mean, ideally, as a lot of friends and other guys I knew back then managed to get hold of another property, which they kind of like have as their pension to rent out or to sell at the end of the day. But yeah. What's his space? I have to come back to you on that one, mate. But yeah, it's not sensible to not. Mind you, in some pensions, the way the just rates went with interest rates. I mean, years ago, you kind of think, oh yeah, it was worth having a pension. It was worth a mint, and then suddenly, because interest rates been so low for so many years, after the pensions aren't coughing up what they're meant to, which I discovered when I came to, because I had an endowment mortgage for my place, and it should have been paid off 10 years ago, and I still got to pay for another 10 years because the interest, which was meant to cover the mortgage, wasn't enough. So those kind of things put you off of paying into long-term pensions unless you can sort something else out. You got to make your fortune, mate. You got to make your fortune. That's how you retire. Is there plenty of work in London? Yeah. There's been no issues with work. The only time it wasn't busy was the proper first lockdown, when everything was properly shut. A lot of customers didn't want you around their house, and you couldn't get any plaster for love nor money. Saying that, even when the work picked up again, you still couldn't get any plaster for love nor money. Are you still getting you guys still getting a decent picture? Because another picture I'm getting shown on my YouTube thing looks really blurry. I just might mean because I ain't got my glasses on. There's plenty of work, Patrick. In London anyway. I mean, it can vary depending on who you are. One of my other subscribers, Nick the Greek, I think, he's booked up until August doing stuff. I don't know how. Most of my customers, they won't wait a couple of weeks, let alone X amount of months. Ever thought of taking on Zoltar? Ever thought of taking on a labourer? No, I used to have one before the days of the whisk, when I had a tin bath and you had to knock up bonding and browning with a rake and a shovel. But after I got a whisk, I thought there's no point in having a labourer. It doesn't warrant the expense you'd have to charge for the labourer. And I'd rather charge a bit less and have whatever I'd be behind the labourer and stick it in my own bank. On the help. Risky. Yeah, getting help nowadays, there's a lot of rules concerning, even if you take on someone legit, if you take someone on doing kind of casual work, you can get in trouble for that, obviously. If, you can get caught out somewhere along the line. If you take someone on in a kind of pucker way, then the amount of rights, the kind of things, you can't just go, oh, you're rubbish, I'm getting shot of you, because they got a lot more rights than they used to have. If you took a guy on properly and he was a rubbish labourer or a rubbish doing anything, you could get shot of him and say, sorry mate, you're just not up to the job. But that's not as easy anymore. So you do have to be a little bit careful. Fear is the Mind Killer. Fear is the Mind Killer. Have you been on it before? Your kind of name sounds vaguely familiar, as long internet names go. Can you tell me if you ever plastered internally onto bath stone in particularly? If so, what did you use? What's the It's because in a lot of older buildings, depending on how is the whole building made of bath stone. A lot of older buildings and stone buildings, they use like lime. They're talking about lime plastering because it's got some flexibility in it, as well as all the new kind of plasters. The plasters generally that are used today, they've got no flexibility whatsoever. And if you put them onto stonework or to anything that might have some movement in it, it's just going to crack up, and at some stage, and not be great. So no, I haven't gone particularly onto bath stone, but you definitely need to look that up. on the, but I'm pretty sure you're talking about line plastering, which is, well, something I haven't done for years. But yeah, I hope I couldn't be more help than that, mate. Simon Cheshire, my missus got us. Your missus got a Superflex free trowel for Christmas. Don't really do a lot of rendering anymore. So, do you have any tips to breaking a new trowel? Breaking a new trowel, mate. What is it? A flex, Superflex? If it's a Superflex, it shouldn't need a lot of breaking in. To be honest with you, I mean, things are the things are ever so thin anyway, and yeah, I think most Superflex type trowels are more or less sort of a pre-worn in things. If you're buying like a proper solid trowel, a Marshalltown, or something similar that's not flexible or even medium flexible, you do need to wear those in. And so you can do it with sandpaper, you can do it on a breeze block, concrete block. The ideal thing when you were doing a lot of plastering is obviously using it for rendering, because the sand and cement wears it in, and the carbon steel trowel wears in a lot quicker than a stainless steel trowel, which takes forever. So you can buy worn-in stainless steel trowels. Yeah. Simon, should that say my missus got me a Superflex trowel? Not for Christmas. Not that my missus got a Superflex trowel for Christmas. I'm guessing that's what it should say. Because I thought, oh mate, you shouldn't have bought her a trowel, mate, because you'll be in the doghouse if it was a trowel for her for Christmas and you bought it. The picture's fine. Thanks, MPH. Yeah, as long as the picture's good, that's all that matters, mate. People hate looking at stuff that's fuzzy or has got terrible sound, so hopefully I'm coming through loud and clear as well. Diggity dar, good picture this end. Lovely, cheers, mate, cheers. Oh, it's a fireplace. I was thinking of using Limelight Renovating. Limelight Renovating might be okay. I've used that, but again, that was years ago, and I used it in an old cottage, a single-skinned brick wall cottage in where was that? I can't remember now. Going towards Chichester, whatever. So got me. Yeah, right. So yeah, that's good, Simon. Yeah, I was a bit concerned, mate. Yeah. The Limelight might do the job. If it's you say a fireplace, are you talking about the whole kind of like chimney breast affair, or just like the inside, or just below the mantle? Yeah, no worries, mate. Pleasure. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys coming along to Ask the Plasterer and subscribing to my channel and clicking on as many likes and stuff as you can on the videos. I don't put out as many videos as I should, but trying to do videos along with the jobs. Some jobs you get on and you just think, wow, I need to crack this out, and you know, I ain't got time to keep setting up my camera in different positions and stuff. But as I said earlier, I have got myself a new GoPro, which I can stick on my head and crack on that way. So, yeah, look forward to them. JT, when you dot and dab, when dot and dab window walls, do you do the reveal first or last? That's a good question. I tend to do the reveals afterwards, which shouldn't be a problem if you've stuck your faces to the wall on nice and level, especially around the window. Then you should be able to cut a nice reveals after. Though I don't doubt some guys maybe do the internal reveals and the soffit first. You can then, I suppose, use that for your board to push up against. Depending on how you cut, whether you cut the corners to finish flush on your facing wall or whether you cut it to set back inside. But yeah, no, I stick my walls on first if I'm dot and dabbing, and then do the reveals second. But it's yeah, different guys will do it a different way. What do you do about actually? What do I do about make good? I want to make good plaster. What had you? I'm near Sutton, JT. Sutton, Croydon, around that way. Patrick. Patrick, if you're talking about that, the Make Good brand of plaster, oh goodness, it's rubbish. Oh, I say it's rubbish. I don't know anyone that likes it or bought it when there was a shortage of plaster after the lockdown. If you're talking about making good, not the plaster, but making good, I tend to not do jobs where people just want you to make good, where they've had a rewire done and say, oh, can you come and some new windows, can you come and replaster around all my window edges and everywhere that the electrician has cut channels out of my wall. But that's the job. I don't do those. You're talking about that kind of making good. Sorry, Patrick. Yes, the plaster, the Make Good plaster. It's like a one coat white, flowery, stodgy stuff. Might be similar to what they use on the continent. They call the bonding, well, they call it bonding and they call it finish, but it's nothing like bonding. It's nothing like finish, or nothing like Carlite finish or bonding. And it's very stodgy stuff. Like anything else, any kind of type of plaster, if you can get used to using it and then quite like it, but the chances are if it's not popular and sudden and you get used to using it and you like it, like if you bought say like this Make Good plaster that most people thought was rubbish, and you liked it and you really got the hang of it, you go, no, I've practiced with this and I'm really good with Make Good plaster now, I'm just going to use that, and then suddenly the shop stops selling it because nobody else wants it, and then you think, oh, bugger. Oh dear. But yeah, right, guys, I think how are we doing for time? Yeah, I've been on it far too long. Who's going to want to watch a video this long when it goes up online as well as live? Right, guys, I'm going to call it a night for now. I'm going to go and have some dinner and a shower, not necessarily in that order, and yeah, go and talk to my wife. She misses me on Ask the Plasterer night. Cheers, diggity dar, mate. Nice to see you. Nice to see all the regular guys. Anyone new that's watching, thanks for coming along. The next Ask the Plasterer will be in a fortnight's time on Monday at 7 p.m. Anything else I need to tell you? Yeah, I've got going to be my new video is going to be coming out. That's using my GoPro, so that'll be slightly different. But hey, what the heck? Hopefully you'll enjoy it. I'm going to keep them short and sweet and do them in sections, I think, because they're easier to watch. And it gives you something exciting to look forward to. The next one coming out sooner, rather than have to wait 3 or 4 weeks for me to post a video. Oh dear. Cheers, old Ty. Take care, mate. Will do. Fear is a mind killer. Will do. You must get a shorter, an easier name to say quickly. Cheers, JT, and you, mate, and you. Cheers, Patrick. Right. This is Eric the Plasterer, or will be, signing off as soon as he can remember where the signing off button is, and he never can. But I think it's an age thing. Oh, hang on, bear with. Mode. Right, this is it, guys. Right, thanks for coming, and yeah, look forward to seeing you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to the old channel if you haven't done already. Don't forget to get on the community Discord server site, the community one for the also called Ask the Plasterer. There's also Ask the Plasterer podcast for wherever you get your podcasts, so you can listen to them at your leisure or when you're working if you're in the game, or if you're any kind of job where you can listen while you work. It's all available. And yeah, got any ideas, tips, or anything else for future videos I've got coming up, or anything else that you want to know? Just leave comments on any of my videos. Check out my descriptions. My link descriptions are basically mostly the same on all of my videos. They've got links in there to my affiliated Amazon stuff. Get a little bit of a kickback from anything you buy once you've clicked on one of my links. Whether you buy the actual thing or not, or buy something else after you've clicked on one of my links, I get a teeny little bit of percentage off of each little thing that's bought, which helps me pay to run a channel, and yeah, it just helps. just helps when you want to buy a little new thing, like a new little microphone cover or something like that. Right, so yeah, right, I'm definitely going now. So thanks for coming, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now.